years in terms of portal windows and calendars. We just can't seem to get into a flow, and I think it would be really, really important to do that.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Alan Cutler, honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining me. It's a really good comment by Mitch. The only single word that I'm going to disagree when he said a little bit of a upheaval, to me, it's been a ridiculous upheaval, and that's fine. I thought it was a really good comment from Mitch when he was talking about college athletics, and he talked about the lack of stability in college athletics. And look, the man has given his life to college athletics, and he wants it fixed. I don't doubt it. The problem is you got 8,000 people looking at 8,000 ways, or one of the words he used in this conversation yesterday with a few members of the media was that there are a lot of different interpretations as to whatever comes down anyway. So many people look at it differently. What the heck are you going to do? But I thought that was a really open and honest comment that everybody knows there's no stability in college athletics as far as I'm concerned, and most of you are concerned. And I just like that he addressed it with a very professional, thoughtful way. I respect it. I do a lot. When this will be fixed, I don't know, because there's so many different opinions. Like, this can't continue like this, but you would assume some smarter people will fix it. You would assume. I don't have any idea. I just taped a 14-minute interview with Tyler Bell that will run on Monday. He's Kentucky's best player. And if you follow Kentucky baseball, you know he's a great player. I've never talked to the young man before. I think he's just as good as a person as he is a player. Jimmy, you're going to love it. His discipline and his focus about everything in life. Jimmy, how many kids do you know, when I say kids, I'm old, how many kids do you know that watch their sleep and what they eat at a tender age? And you know, when I told him I had seen a story where he was up 6 o'clock in the morning working out on his leads for stealing bases, and he said that's true. This kid is incredible, and he turned down, I think it was a little over $1.2 million as a second rounder, the 66th pick in a draft to come to Kentucky. And as it worked out, and he used it, and it's one of the few things I wrote in my notes, and he beat me to it. He said, I bet on myself. And right now, if he has just the year he had last year, and I bet he has a better year, he's going to make a lot more money in the draft. I mean, not a little more, but a lot more money. And think about it. You're at Kentucky. Jimmy, you can eat steak as much as you want, right? Well, your travel is first class. Your weight room is first class. I don't know who the strength coach is, but I bet he or she is really, really good, because there's tons of good strength coaches everywhere. Now, think about it. You go to Class A baseball. The meals suck. It's buses late at night. I'd be shocked if there's a Class A place that has a weight room that's close to Kentucky's. And by the way, it doesn't have to look like Kentucky, and you can have a smaller weight room that could still be good. But, you know, if you think about it, the way the world has changed, that it makes sense the way he explained it, why he did what he did. And here's a little caveat. Because he's going to be 21 when the draft comes up, Jimmy, he doesn't have to stay 3 years. He's eligible after 2. It's one of those little rules that isn't talked about much. So as he said, you know, he was one of the older guys in the last draft. Because he's 21, he's going to leave after this year. So I got to be honest, my first thought was years ago, you know, somebody should say I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it. It doesn't make a difference. My first thought was that, oh my gosh, this kid's going to have to be here 3 years. That's a lot. And I did not realize the age thing. That's one whole year. And his thought was he's going to spend less time in the lower level of the minor leagues by coming to Kentucky. And he loves Coach Minch. So when you hear the guy and his discipline, oh my gosh, what a great young man. So it'll be Monday. I don't know the time yet, but I will tweet it out. Jimmy, I will be shocked if you don't love this kid right away. I mean, shocked.
I mean, he seems like a great kid, and I was just looking through his bio. I love that he played hockey in high school. Just something about that adds just a little extra toughness to you.
Yeah.
If you grew up as a hockey kid, just your mindset for sports and life. If you're a hockey guy, that's totally different than any other sport. But going back to the sleep thing, I feel like more athletes are doing it, but back, 15 years ago when I was going out of high school into college, none of us did that. you don't monitor your sleep or really monitor what you were really eating like that. But it's these kids now, they're pro athletes. That's how they treat their bodies, which is incredible.
Yep. He shuts it down at 10 o'clock.
Crazy.
Sleep is let me tell you what, I just became a huge fan. I already was a fan of him as a player, but oh my gosh. So that will be on Monday. A little baseball note. We will have Red Fest as 1300 AM and 92.5 FM. I had no idea where that came from, Jimmy. Reds Fest on 1300 AM and 92.5 FM tomorrow at 3 o'clock with Steve Tressler and Alan Stein. Their first guest will be Phil Castellini, who was booed the other day at Xavier when they announced the partnership with Xavier. And by the way, they just made a trade that I like a lot. I have said, not a lot, but I have said I didn't want Lux on the team. And the reason why I didn't want him. And by the way, I was wrong. I thought when they picked him up from the Dodgers, he would be a much better player. He's heavy, in my opinion. He has no range, in my opinion. And I thought by coming to the Reds that he would be a guy not to hit 30 home runs and drive in 100 RBIs. But I thought, with this stadium that he could hit 25 home runs and maybe in the mid 80s with RBIs. And he just wasn't very good. And there's two reasons why I like it. One, that creates space for Stewart, because I saw some preseason things which just ticked me off. And the person was guessing it's a good writer who covers the Reds. And that's fine. That Lux, who's not a good defensive player, would be in a platoon system with Stewart, who is one of the best prospects in baseball, who's lost all this weight. I don't give a crap if Stewart is a DH or a little third, a little first. He's got to get 600 at bats. And if Lux was in the way, it would be disgusting. I mean, really disgusting. So, and actually the Reds, it looks like they saved a little money, okay, which is always great, but that's fine. They had addition by subtraction. And Gavin Lux supposed to be a good dude, came from the Dodgers chain, and I agreed with them. The Reds got the deal, but it didn't work. It didn't work. I also find it interesting that Tampa wants him. So they obviously believe, and he can play a lot of positions, but he doesn't play any position really well. And they like to have guys who plays a lot of positions. They must look at tape and they must think, that they can unleash him a little bit more. The other part of it is if it doesn't work, they can dump him after this year, which is what Tampa Bay does. And so if Tampa Bay gets great stuff out of Lux and they're not in first place, they could probably trade him and get a good prospect. I mean, that's what Tampa Bay does. So I get it. Now, they got a guy named Brock Burke from the Angels. It was a 3-team trade. And you want to know what? It's a really good addition. I'm not saying the guy's Cy Young or he's going to win an award as the best relief pitcher or something like that. He's a good relief pitcher. Okay? He is. His ERA at home last year was 2.73, on the road 3.94. He's a lefty. He could become a really nice part of the bullpen. He was with the Angels last year. And the Angels have been getting rid of guys to pick up guys who are young as they're trying to rebuild their team. On paper, it looks like a good deal for everyone. And I have to believe Tampa Bay is too smart that they can fix Lux. I wanted Lux. Nothing against Lux. Apparently, he's a really good dude. But Stewart has to have 500 to 600 at-bats. This is a potential budding big star, and we'll find out. And if they platooned him, I was going to go crazy screaming at the Reds. I need to ask my dear friend Hal McCoy to come on next week. Jimmy, you know this. Pitches and catches, it's like around the corner. I mean, and I'm excited about baseball. So, one, don't forget about Reds Fest tomorrow. You can listen on 1300 AM and 92.5 FM with Steve Tressler and Alan Stein as the Reds have their big promotional deal tomorrow in Cincinnati. That's where we'll be live from. I got to tell you, if you told me I was going to start with baseball this morning instead of basketball, wow. One more baseball deal, because this is breaking news. Bo Bichette has signed with the Mets. I can't believe this. He's a really good player. Jimmy, this just hit. 3 years, $126 million. He's a really good player. I know the Mets owners got more money than dirt. It's a ridiculous contract. Wow. Which means he agreed to play second base. And the second base shortstop combination for the Mets, just off the top of my head, will be as good as anybody in baseball, don't you think?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. With Lindor still there, I assumed he would go to second base, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. By the way, he's already said he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Move to second base, which opened up a whole bunch of teams who were then interested in him. And he's a really good guy. And I bet he and Lindor get along famously. I'm going to guess the obvious that the Mets paid more money to make the contract short. I want to do one more baseball. This is driving me nuts. Tucker signed with the Dodgers. I know you saw that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
He's never hit 30 home runs. He's been in the top 10 of most valuable player one time. One time. I think he's a very good baseball player. I think he's kind of a quasi all-star player. Would you agree with that assessment, Jimmy?
Yeah.
He's not a star. He's not a superstar. He's never batted cleanup. When I saw the number last night, Jimmy, I didn't have my glasses on, but I see my computer well, and I don't know what I did. I literally went close to the computer and going, there's no way they would pay him that. It's the Dodgers. He gets $240 million over 4 years. Oh, but wait, here's the caveat. They're deferring $30 million. I'm going to guess the Dodgers wanted him to do it, and he probably did too. Say, okay, I'll get $2 million for 15 years or something when I retire. That's that kind of thing. And Dodgers do pretty good with deferred money. So they're paying Shohei $70 million. And I've said it when the contract came out, that contract is free. It's really free. How they do stuff. It's probably the greatest deal in the history of contracts in sports, what the Dodgers did with how they market him and what they get for him with all kinds of ways. It's just unbelievable. But the Tucker deal, this reminds me of the Yankees in the 50s, what the Dodgers have done. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's go to last night. I went to the Kentucky game, and I talked about when they had just played Oklahoma. It was the most intense game, most physical game of Kentucky women's basketball I've ever witnessed. And to be fair, you have to understand, when I did TV, I never showed up to games. I really couldn't, unless I was covering it. And I didn't cover a lot of games, especially when I was anchoring. We sent a photographer. And then when I was a, quote, full-time reporter and filling in when they were desperate, I did cover some games and actually went on the road in the NCAA tournament and stuff like that. But I'm not going to tell you that I was going to 20 games or anything. It's just not true. But the intensity in the Oklahoma game was spectacular. So they're playing Florida. By the way, Jimmy, have you seen a picture of Shaq's daughter who plays for Florida? She's really
not.
Good. She's really good, and she looks like her dad, and she's a blossoming star. She's listed as 6'4". She's got a great future ahead of her. And by the way, a much better shooter from the free throw line than her dad. It's not even close. It's like whoever showed her how to do it wasn't her dad. She's really good. So, early on in the game's over. I mean, really, you never know for sure, but the game was over. Boom. Absolutely, unequivocally over in the first quarter. And then Kentucky went to sleep. They did. It was like 29-12 at one point. So I'm sitting next to John Wong, my dear friend and partner in our book, Cut to the Chase, and he says to me, "You're going to leave at the half?" And honestly, if they were blowing them out by 25 points or more at the half, I was going to leave. Why stay? Why stay? I'd look at the sound after the game, and there would be no reason for me to stay. Well, it was 45-38 at the half. Florida came back. And then Florida blew out Kentucky in the third quarter. And one of the comments that Kenny Brooks said, he can't remember any of his teams ever. Oh, Bichette will play third base for the Mets, a position he's never played. Well, that is fascinating. Do I think he can adjust? Yes. That's fascinating. And he obviously agreed to do that before they did this deal. You would never do something like that. Jimmy, I didn't anticipate that. Third base for the Mets.
I'm looking at, when I just Googled their roster, it looks like they have Trevor Siemian from the Rangers, who's playing second base.
They have him listed there?
I'm looking now to make sure it's the updated.
Yeah, Simeon, I'm sorry. I knew. My bad, Jimmy. I knew that and I forgot. They dumped one of their long-term contract outfielders to Texas. It was kind of a swap. Simeon is a very good second baseman. He hits home runs, drives in runs. He's getting a little long in the tooth, but he's a really good dude. If they had Alonso at first base, it'd be the best infield in baseball. Isn't that interesting? It would absolutely be the best. I forgot about Simeon. My bad. And I actually like that trade when they just traded two veteran players. I thought the Mets got the better of the deal, but the Rangers have somebody else they want to put in the outfield. I'm going too deep. Most of you don't care. It's all good. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Okay, back to UK. So 35-21 in the third quarter. And Florida's up 73-66. And Kentucky didn't have any energy. And Florida started hitting shots, and Florida was outplaying Kentucky. There's no question about it. But I tell you what I really liked, and I gained a bunch of respect for Kentucky. They came back, and the crowd got loud. They got loud. Hassett hit a three to make it 83-82 Florida. Then Obi takes a charge, which quietly I thought was a big deal. And then Strack with a baseline. Florida takes the lead again. Strack hits a couple of free throws. Kentucky goes up by one. I mean, it wasn't like Kentucky coming back, taking the lead, and that was it. They were up and back, up and back, up and back. And then Boone hit a shot to make it 90-87. And then Boone was fouled. And then you know what I didn't like? And the replay, Jimmy, this is it looked like WWF. Have you ever looked at WWF when they do the wrestling stuff? And sometimes a guy, they're so good at it, they'd make like they're hitting somebody. They don't even touch him.
Yeah.
They don't even touch him. Matter of fact, I got in trouble one time. One of my favorite stories that I did at KDK in Pittsburgh, you had to get permission. Jimmy, I had to sign a contract. I believe it's the only time I ever had to sign a contract to do a story. I mean, we literally had our lawyers look at it because the WWF sent the contract. They had agreed, to show them in a good light. And it was Bruno Sammartino. At the time, he was Mr. Everything, Mr. Positive. People loved him. He's from Pittsburgh, made his own wine. His two dumbbells in the basement were literally 250-pound dumbbells. He was built like a brick, It was a positive story. So my boss said, what do you think? I said, it's a positive feature. So he signed it. But I tell you what I did, that they sent a threatening letter. So he's doing the match at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. He had retired. You retire, you come back, you retire, you come back, that kind of stuff. He's doing it with his son, who wasn't very good, but he was a wrestler. And they're going against two guys I don't remember. And so I'm allowed to sit ringside. Jimmy, that was really cool. Because you hear stuff and see stuff or whatever, but you know how choreographed this stuff is?
Oh, yeah.
Whoever, I don't remember which guy it was supposed to literally jumps out of the ring to get the chair to hit Bruno Sammartino. And you tell the guy where the chair is. And the match is going on. I swear to you, I'm not embellishing. I swear to you, this is exactly how it happened. Thank God this guy had brakes. He jumps over the out of the ring, comes down, jumps towards me, realizes I'm sitting in the chair, and he stopped on a dime and he winked at me. And then he went left to right to get a chair because it was like, get the chair in the corner. That's where the hell I was sitting. They weren't expecting me to sit there. I mean, he could have just, and he wasn't going to, but when he came down for a second, did I freak? Of course I freaked. There was no question about him. And then he got another chair and he hit him in the back and the whole thing. And this great comeback that Bruno made to win the match, and Civic Arena was going crazy, stuff like that. And when the guy left, his partner went out the other side. He purposely came by me and he smiled at me. I said, thank you. The fake stuff that happens with all. How did I get on that tangent?
I don't remember
either. How's that for a senior moment? Strack and the fifth foul. I call it a teenager moment, but it's pretty bad when you forgot too. Well, that shows you're not paying attention to me. That shows I'm not paying attention to me. Anyway, our fifth foul, Jimmy, it wasn't even close. Strack never touched, let me repeat, never touched the Florida player. As a matter of fact, I was a little surprised they put it on the screen because I couldn't tell when it happened. It was a little away from the ball and that kind of stuff. And I went, I didn't think she touched her, but you're not sure. They put the replay bar. It's not like it was 6 inches apart. It was like way apart. I'm going, how the hell do you do that? It was just really awful. But what happened to Florida player, when somebody hits the ground, they're looking from the side. They might not see it as much as it was an horrendous call. And Strack had to sit with 4 fouls for a whole bunch of the time. Neither here nor there. It was a hell of a comeback by UK. It really was. And it's a little deal. Brooks was really good about the lack of focus and stuff like that, but how proud he is of the team. He really handled it perfectly. He really handled it perfectly. Let me tell you something really quick. One more thing about Kentucky women's basketball. Asia Boone, she's in a shooting slump. Ever since she hit, I think it was 5 threes against LSU, she's not shooting well. And she was 0 for 6 against Oklahoma. And Brooks, I'm paraphrasing, had a comment that he said to her, it's the greatest 0 for 6 performance in the history of the NCAA or something like that. She is tough now. She played 38 minutes and 27 seconds, which you wouldn't have been playing that much. You wouldn't be starting if Key was healthy. She isn't with her bad elbow. Jimmy, she shot 2 for 11 from threes. And her shot is way off. There's no question about it. But you know what she did? In clutch time, she was really good. Kid can't hit all day, hit her free throws, hit a shot. She was huge down the stretch. And to me, the discipline, she ended up with 12 points. And she had the best plus minus on a team 11. She's maybe 5'8", tougher than you know what. I like how she went for the ball against Oklahoma and stuff like that. But to have such a bad shooting day, I'm not being critical. I'm complimenting her. Wouldn't surprise me if she gets a shot fixed the next time she's 4 for 7 for 3. So there's no hidden message here. None. By the way, all 5 starters were in double figures. The point is this, Jimmy, to have such a bad shooting game, where she had a bad shooting game, and to come back and to get those 4 points down the stretch when they really needed it. I mean, my respect for her went off you don't see that very often, that you're confident in your stuff and your ability. And this is not a one-game shooting slump now. She's been shooting bad for a few games now. She still had enough confidence to do it. My respect for her was off the charts. And you remember we played a soundbite from her yesterday and how mature sounding she was and how complimentary she was of the crowd. So, hat tip to Asia Boone. How many times, Jimmy, do you see a kid shooting that bad, and at the end, really, she wasn't the only hero? I mean, Toni Morgan was great. She had 26 points. She had 7 turnovers, which sucked, but she had 26 points, and she made big shots. She was 8 and 9 from the field, and Strack did what Strack does. She had 21 points, and she had 5 rebounds. And Hassett had 12 points, and she was tough on the boards with 8 rebounds. And Obi is Obi. She was 6 for 7. It's like she doesn't take a shot. She don't think she can make it, and she's really good inside the paint. But back to that, how often do you see somebody have such a bad shooting game? By the way, and the other parts of her game were really good while she was having a bad shooting game, which I appreciate it. And to do it like that, it happens, but not every day.
Yeah, that's the part where if you're not shooting well, and as the player that you're not having your game, you're kind of off, whatever it is, but you try to make up for it in the other ways, where you don't just slump and you don't just go into yourself and sulk and say, woe is me, today's not my day. But that's the mark of a good team, is being able to do that in the discipline to say, okay, how else can I affect this in a positive way?
By the way, I heard her after the game on the drive home with Darren Hendricks on the UK network. If she wants to be a broadcaster, she can go right into ESPN and do women's college basketball. She's really good. I need to send a note to Cammie and compliment her. She's really good. How she talks and her pattern. She sounds like someone who's been broadcasting for a long time. Matter of fact, Darren asked a question about something. I don't remember what the heck it was. And you know what she says to him, Jimmy? It was great. Good question. What college kid does that? And then her answer was really good. Okay, we're going full circle around here. Chip is in the waiting room. And let's play this one soundbite. Then we'll take a break, and then we'll go to Chip. This has been a major contention for me. Some people who think I dislike Mitch and disagree with his stuff all the time or rip him all the time, I'll say this nicely, you're an idiot. Because I do compliment Mitch, and I do, and I disagree with it. I'll just disagree. So I'm going to do something interesting here. I disagree with Mitch strongly, but I really respect what he did. And I have not emphasized that enough. I would never have allowed, if I'm the boss with the contract for Stein, I would never have allowed him to stay at Oregon. That's me. And they've done on paper a hell of a job recruiting in the portal. You can't tell me it wouldn't have been better if he was here. You just can't tell me that. It's impossible. Now, what Stein did to juggle both, and I think Mitch came from a fairness point of view in life. One of his lieutenants is the athletic director at Oregon. He's trying to treat others how he would hope he would be treated. I get all that. I understand it. I respect it. But if I'm the boss, I say, look, I know you like Oregon. I know you love Oregon. I know you love your coach. I know you love your kids, but you're the coach here and you got to be here 100% of the time. And maybe I'm wrong. So I disagree with what Mitch did, but I respect it. Anyway, Mitch was asked about how Stein juggled two jobs.
I'm amazed how seamlessly he did that. I think having Dan, having done that when he left Georgia to go to Oregon, they had a game plan of how to make that work. Dan was incredibly helpful in that process and kind to allow him ability to go forth and come back and forth like he did. The amount of effort that took on Rule's part to try and be respectful and honor his team that he would work so hard with to develop, and then to be in the middle of trying to hire a staff and get everything in place for what ends up being a really, really short window of time to get your roster right. Well, that was a heck of an effort.
It's to me, this hurts. I respect the hell out of what he said. I still wouldn't do it. Because you got to take care of Kentucky #1. But okay, respectfully disagree. And if you don't think that Quantrill Subaru is a wonderful place, I'll respectfully disagree. It's okay. From the depths of Mammoth Caves to the rugged cliffs of the Red River Gorge to the muddy boots and long days in Daniel Boone National Forest and every back road that gets you there, your adventures are built for Subaru. With legendary, symmetrical, all-wheel drive, proven safety, and the durability Quantrill Subaru is known for, you can push farther, stay longer, and explore without hesitation. Right now, get 0% APR financing on the new 2025 Subaru Outback models through February 2nd. Built for Kentucky, ready for anywhere. Quantrill Subaru. Visit QuantrillSubaru.com. See dealer for details. And don't forget, their Cadillacs are wonderful. We had one. So smooth. And right now, in our third vehicle that we've gotten from Quantrill in what seems like forever, we have the VC60, the Volvo, the hybrid, and it's the best car we've ever had. Period. And the hybrid is saving us a whole bunch of money. It is smooth. It's a beautiful car. So I trust the people at Quantrill. Check them out. My friend Chip Rupp coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrill Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler for the Quantrill Auto Group, a people organization who have Cadillacs, Volvos, Subarus. Experience the all-electric and plug-in hybrid power vehicles. We have the VC60, the Volvo. We love it. Best car we've ever had. Dedicated customer service. Helped us big time with financing. A wonderful dealership, the Quantrill Auto Group. They've been terrific for us for well over a decade. I trust the Quantrill Auto Group.
Ooh,
baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pub and Shop.
Kappa what?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have 5-hour energy shots, Bloom energy drinks, and Blue Diamond almonds. Each buy 2, get 1 free.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pub and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Before we introduce my guest properly, this just came down. How about this? So Bo Bichette, who's a great player, these contracts are just past goofy, goes to the Mets, 4 years, $220 million, like I said a couple minutes ago. The Phillies offered 7 years. 7 years and $200 million, and they thought he was going to sign with them. So he's getting an average of $55 million a year for the Mets when he could have gotten about $28 million from the Phillies. And so the Mets have been spurned by so many players. They overpaid like crazy. Like crazy. Now, if you're going to go 4 years, you better pay a lot more money. I get that. You get that, whatever. But, he's 30, I think. And so he ain't getting this kind of deal when he's 34. I don't care if he's an all-star for 4 years. It's just not going to happen. Fascinating, some of this money. Here's a man who's fascinating, traveling the world. It's amazing. You go away, and all these things happen with Kentucky basketball. Field of 68, let me throw this at you before I properly introduce, which is Jeff Goodman. He's got Pope ties that nobody else around here has, says that JQ is not expected to play. And so when Jeff Goodman puts that out, that means he's not playing, and he was told to kind of put it that way, unless there's a miracle. I'm going to guess his source is Pope. I could be wrong, or maybe he allows an assistant coach to share information with the auspices of Pope saying it's okay. Cal used to do that. He would have Dwayne Peavy, the sports information director, send stuff out to Matt Jones, just telling you the truth, and he would get the release 20 minutes before it came out, and Matt would get it because Cal said take care of Matt. Right or wrong, I'm just telling you what happened. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, his name is on a little arena downtown in Lexington, Rupp Arena, grandson of Adolph Rupp, Chip Rupp, or Adolph Rupp III, kind enough to join us. How are you, dude? Glad you're back.
I'm doing great. It's good to be back. Looks like while I was away, the Cats got on a little bit of a roll and strung together a few games, so it's good.
Interesting the changes with the starting lineup and sharing the ball, and we all feel terrible for Lowe, but I actually think since it's terrible, him knowing what he's facing and starting his rehab earlier, since I am an expert on shoulders, is huge, and now the team doesn't have this thing hanging over his head, and I hope he gets a medical red shirt, but if not, he can play next year anyway, unless there's something involved here I don't know, but I think he needs all this time to get ready for next year. The shoulders are shoulders. It's, thank God, from what I understand, he has nothing what I had. Plus, he's younger and tougher and all that kind of stuff. But, with Aberdeen getting better, and then Jasper didn't play well the other night, but I think he's going to play well. I like the change in the lineup. You put Williams in, which I've been calling for. You put Yelovich in, which I didn't see happening, honestly. And now, Chip, you tell me, you're spreading the court more. There's more spacing. Cam Williams can now put the ball on the floor. Yeah, he didn't have a good game the other night, but he started against LSU. First time he started, he played at Tulane. I wonder if he felt more nervous and stuff like that. I hope like heck he starts against Tennessee because he didn't have great numbers. But, that steal and dunk was absolutely spectacular. But the point is, it spacing-wise, it's a totally different team. And Aberdeen, who has sucked, and I said this, but I said after the game before, he played well. And let's give it a chance. Maybe he's improving. And then he had 17 points in the second half, and he was close to spectacular. So maybe there's hope for Pope. What say you, Chip Rupp?
No, I would agree. I watched the game the other night. It was unwatchable in the first half, but second half, LSU expanded that lead to 18. And you were talking about how Cam Williams didn't play great, and he didn't. However, he had a critical 3 when we erased that 18-point deficit to take it less than 10 in the blink of an eye. I think you had an Aberdeen, an Oweh, and a Cam Williams 3. bang, 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 and it erased that deficit. And so you just see how powerful the 3-point shot is in the Pope system. When those things start dropping, this whole thing can change. And just as it erased that deficit, if we could hit a few of those starting a game, we can run out to, we can score in bunches. So hopefully these guys will start to find their stride here a little bit and their stroke, and those threes will start falling more routinely.
Yeah, I've never thought this was a great shooting team, but I've never thought it was a bad shooting team. And I said before the season that I think they were going to be better than they thought. And for a long time, they proved me wrong. And I thought what Lowe could do, I thought he could penetrate and dish. First of all, the kid was never healthy, duh. But on the other hand, I knew he liked to shoot first, but there were times he missed people because he said, I got to score. And it was a me thing, not ripping the kid, but he's a shoot first point guard. And I really believe if they would run more with spacing, this could become a decent 3-point shooting team. And their shooting in the second half was great. They were 8 for freaking 11. I mean, after the third or fourth game, if you'd have said they go 8 for 11 and a half, I go, against who? So their shooting might surprise people, Chip.
No, I think it will. I mean, going back to preseason when I was super bullish on these guys and said this is a Final Four team, they haven't performed to that level. Do I think they can get there? I don't really know right now, but there's still a tremendous ceiling for them and they can continue to get better. And what I saw in the 1 or 2 practices that I went to, they shoot remarkably well in the Joe Kraft Center. So why is it not translated to our arena or visiting arenas? I don't know, but I know that ability is there. And so hopefully we're starting to find our stride and figure some things out, and they'll start to drop more routinely. You did mention one thing that I think was critical in that LSU game, and it may be something that Mark needs to look at as he starts these games, because it's going to be difficult to win at a high level if we start every game down by double digits. We've got to figure out a way to come out of the gates better. And, when we started pressing, even though it was a little token pressure, it wasn't real hot in the second half, it changed the speed of the game. It picked up the pace of the game. You got a few turnovers and some easy buckets. And maybe we need to look at doing something like that earlier in the game to quicken the pace a little bit in hopes of getting some easier buckets.
Chip, if they start at Tennessee and get in a deep hole, they ain't coming back.
Well, you say that, Alan, but you remember you could pull back the tape. Last year, Lamont Butler went down.
Yep.
And we spoke on the day of the Tennessee game at Tennessee, and I said, we have no chance. A Rick Barnes team, there's no chance without Lamont Butler. And what do? We went down and won the game. Amari Williams was amazing playing point center. And, we performed remarkably well. So I think anything's possible down there. We've strung together, I think, 4 straight victories. And, well, it's not Thompson Bowling. I don't know what it's called now, but at their arena. And so I think anything's possible. I think we're playing with a little bit of confidence right now, and hopefully we can build on it. But it will be a tough task. I mean, Rick Barnes is a great coach. He's going to teach them or coach them to be very physical. And, they've got some remarkable wins thus far this year. They also have a few games that they stubbed their toe, but you never know which team you're going to get. I mean, they've beaten they've beaten Houston. They beat Louisville handily, and then they turn around and lose to Syracuse and Kansas. So you don't know which version you're going to get.
Rick Barnes is 12-12 against Kentucky, which is one of the best records in college basketball history going against Kentucky. He's 5-5 at home against Kentucky. And I found this, I went, whoa. When they both are in the top 10, Tennessee has won 4 or 5. Interesting. And they've got a couple of great players. I think Tennessee's very beatable. You can win or lose, that kind of thing. And you're right about what happened last year. You're absolutely right. Unequivocally, you're right. I just don't think, probability-wise, you can continue to get that far down on the road against the Tennessee team and doing it. So that's where I could be wrong. Okay, and first of all, I hope I'm wrong, but I hope they don't go in the hole. But I want to throw this at you. Do you think they have a confidence problem starting out?
No, I don't think it's confidence. I will tell you this. I've talked to 2 or 3 people that were at the games while I was out of the country. And these are people that know the game. And they said that they felt like our team comes out without any energy for warmups. They don't seem to be laser focused. And they, especially before the Mississippi State game, they said that we did not look well prepared to play the game. That's not coaching preparation. That's just the kids' minds weren't into it. So no, I don't think that's the case. I just think that they, for whatever reason, every team takes on its own identity, and these guys come out in so-called cool mode, and they're not ready to play, and then all of a sudden they get punched in the face. Pope has to call a timeout, try to harness them in, get them focused, and then they have to chip away, and they've got to come out with a different mindset. Or Mark and the staff are going to have to change up the pace of play or something to get them more into the game sooner.
I kind of thought, silly me, that with 2 changes in the starting lineup, that would have infused a little more energy, but I obviously was wrong when it comes to that. And he's talked to the kids a million times about it. And the players have talked among themselves about it. They're cognizant of what's going on. It's just baffling. It's just absolutely unequivocally baffling. By the way, do you see what I'm drinking here? You think I'm drinking coffee?
I see a Yankees mug right there. What are you drinking?
Blueberries, parsley, Greek yogurt, beets, all organic.
We'll have to pull this offline, but you've been stressing me out a little bit. I've been keeping tabs through the podcast and listening in when I could. Sounds like you've had a few bumps in the road here recently, health-wise.
And I do, and it's not done yet. So
you got to take care of that.
The problem is I was exposed. I use sea moss, not every day, but every now and then. It's got 92 minerals. It's really healthy, all that kind of stuff. I've gone through many, many jars. I could take 2-3 times in a week and not take it for a couple of weeks. The jars I bought were exposed to botulism.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And the hospital where my doctor told me to go, they don't even have the test. And I want to get the test. And it's pretty interesting. I'm battling to get a test that I know I need to take. It's pretty disgusting.
Are you on antibiotics right now?
No.
I know you don't like drugs.
No, but
you gotta knock that out though.
No, if they said antibiotics would take care of it, I'd take it in 2 seconds. Actually, I've taken antibiotics twice this year because my colds were so bad. Once I couldn't be around my sister with a bad cold for Thanksgiving, and another time it came back. So I hate antibiotics, but everything has its time and place. You can't. I have done things and not needed antibiotics from the garlic and this and that and the other, but sometimes you need antibiotics. It's just not my first option. But this, I would take anything they would say. But let's put it this way. I've taken so much garlic in the last 48 hours. Can you smell me through the phone?
I picked up a whiff.
So I deemed Chipper up when the way they played the other day. My little headline was "Hope for Pope." I have no idea where this is going, but I really believe if you have a consistency of effort. Now, it's not going to be all the time, and great that I already talked about it, but the women last night were wonderful in the first quarter, and then they fell asleep. They just did, and Florida got good, and they were down in the fourth quarter after giving up 35 points in the third quarter. Yet, most of that fourth quarter, they played hard and came back and were ferocious. It was great to see. So after playing a game like Oklahoma that was so intense, you played, you get it. It's nice to have the same energy all the time. It's tough to do. I get that. So if there's some slippage that way with a few teams, I get that, but you can't do what they're doing. You just can't do what you're doing. And Pope is taking a lot of heat, and I think the heat's deserved. But by the same token, too, if they turn it around, he deserved praise.
No, I completely agree. I'm not sure what the disconnect is right now on how they start the games. I mean, Mark was mentored by and played for arguably the best with regards to knowing tendencies, trends, the scout on an opponent. So Mark knows how to prepare a team to come out and play against their next opponent. However, when you watch a football game, even a marginal team can stay in the contest for the first 2 or 3 possessions of the game because it's all scripted. Then beyond that point, certain adjustments take place and the game unfolds. Well, it's really not a whole lot different in basketball. They don't run as many, set plays as we did years ago. But Mark, it has a strong idea of what the opponent's going to throw at him, what they're going to see right out of the gates. And I've got to believe that he and his staff have prepared the team with what they need to do to open the game. The problem is I just don't think they're executing it and he can't, he can't play the game. He can only prepare him for it. And so I think the guys have got to get a better grasp on the scout and then come out and execute it and try to keep these double-digit deficits out of play because, to your point, I mean, a team like Tennessee is not going to allow you to erase that. I watched Arkansas play, and they're starting to get scary good. There's some tough contests in front of us. We're going to have to come out of the gates and perform much better from the get-go.
Chipper, how do you do this? It's a sliding scale, and I think it's a feel thing. Pope gets a ton of heat when they're not successful because he's the coach. It'd be no different, and it wasn't with Cal. At times, your grandfather took heat. I mean, It happens. At times, Pitino, I'm sure you remember, I think his record, and if I'm wrong, but the temperature is right, he was either 4-4 or 5-5, something like that against top 10 teams. It was something of that nature, versus what his record was. I'm not counting the first year when they were at 500. When Mashburn showed up and the whole role changes, everybody knows this is not revisionist history, but he was like 500 against top 10 teams, and people were busting his chops. And I remember going on TV and saying, wait a second. It's a top 10 team. Did you expect him to win 80% of his games against top 10 teams? And I remember some people said, you're just shilling for Pitino because you like him. Well, I do like him, but I'm not shilling for him. So there's an ebb and flow there. The point is this. How do you feel about how you direct the criticism? Because players have responsibilities. They're pros now, and that's fine. But they had responsibilities when you played. Coach can yell at you, but if you don't come out and play hard, he can yell at you, but he can sit your fanny on the bench. It's best weapon a coach has. How much do you blame the players and how much do you blame the coaches as they try to get this all together?
Honestly, I blame all parties. I mean, the facts are, and I don't think that Mark, if he was sitting here next to me, would feel any different. He knows the UK fan base. He knows the expectations. He's openly said, I know the mission. And that's just not fan speak. That is what we expect. We expect to hang banner number 9. He knew that it was a pressure cooker when he signed on for it, and his job is to put the best version of Kentucky basketball on the court. And that's his and his staff's job. And so I think he knows that. I think he's embraced it. Does he have the ability to do it? I think so. I don't have any idea if he's going to be a championship coach. I don't know that. But I think he's a capable coach and he knows what the expectations are. To your point, the bench is a motivating factor, but these kids are now professionals. They're all paid very well to perform. And so they have skin in the game. And if they can't perform, they need to go to the bench and find another program where they can perform next year. That's how critical this is. Mark has his job. He's got to prepare them to play, and they have to come out and find 5 guys that can execute and do the job that we expect as fans. The challenge at Kentucky more than maybe at some programs is, we come from all different parts of the state. We all love the Big Blue, but we're also a very knowledgeable fan base. And, a lot of coaches can kind of BS their fan base and tell them how they should feel about something and why it didn't work. As a whole, this is a very knowledgeable fan base. And, if you look back to when 2015, when Cal had arguably the best team on the planet, maybe ever assembled, and we lost the game to Wisconsin. And he came out and said, I did not tell the team to hold the ball until the end of the shot clock on 4 straight shot clock violations. The fans were insulted. They all watched the same product that I did sitting behind the bench. And the facts are, we know that he did tell them to do that. And we got late in the clock and ended up with violations, and that flipped the whole game. You got to be honest with this fan base because they know a lot about the game as a whole. And they know when the team is executing. They know when the team is playing hard. They know when the team is well prepared. And they can call BS on you if you're trying to convince them that it's not what they're seeing.
And even if he didn't tell them to hold the ball, he had done it so many times at that 4-minute mark, let's slow it down. We're up by 8. We're up by 10. Let's ice the clock. The other team starts coming back instead of, hey, let's fast break. Let's try to get an easy bucket. Who cares if they get the ball back? Now, instead of being up 8, we're up 10 points. It's a philosophy I always couldn't stand. He trained the minds of his players to slow it down to 4 minutes. I'll never notice, but I wonder if it was either consciously or subconsciously in the player's mind, because that's what he did, and they're used to him screaming at him. And I think that's a little point that gets overlooked, the fact he has trained his players to not be natural in the last 4 minutes of the game. That was his biggest mistake. And you were sitting behind the bench. Maybe you heard it sure looked like he told him to dummy it down and take the ball. That's what it looked like to me. I didn't have the view that you did. You had a much better view, but that's what I thought, because that's what he's done.
Well, none of us in a huge arena like Lucas Oil Field could hear exactly what he was saying. But when you're sitting behind him and he's holding his hands up, insinuating, patience, use the clock, I couldn't hear verbally what he said. But clearly he wanted to run it down to 7 seconds or less, try to get to the rim and get fouled or get a layup. And that's all great if you get a shot off or you get the foul call. But otherwise, it's the same as a turnover, and they're going the other way, and they capitalized on each one of them. I don't want to worry about revisionist history, but what the purpose of me bringing that up is I have a lot of respect for our fans as a whole. Kentucky basketball is super important to them, and they're super knowledgeable. And they're knowledgeable enough to second guess your coaching and playing abilities when you're not doing what we expect you to do as a fan base. And, Mark knows that when he signed up for this. And if the players didn't know it, they should know it now. They're being paid. They're professionals. You need to perform like one.
I'm sure you saw the point shaving story where most of the players involved are not big names. This goes to college basketball in China. What I find amazing, a long time ago, Tulane was involved in a scandal. And it was a game, if I remember, was on a Tuesday night. And the people that turned them in were the Vegas bookies, because they're not stupid. These sites are not stupid. They don't want games fixed. And if it's a Tuesday night, whatever it was, a very low amount would normally be bet, let's say, on Tulane basketball on a Tuesday night. It's freaking Tulane basketball. It's not Kentucky. And all of a sudden, boom, exponentially tons more is bet. It's a red flag. Somebody in one of these nondescript games apparently bet over $500,000. How stupid could you be? If you're going to cheat, I'm totally against it. It's not the point. Do your homework and at least find something out. That if you bet, like a couple grand and you found out how much was being bet on it, you could slip it through. I'm not telling anybody how to do it. I'm against it so much. It's not even funny. And so are you. The point is the stupidity of all this. And nobody can be surprised at this kind of thing.
No, it's a very strong word, but I'm so disgusted by college sports right now. We've talked about it, the NIL, the transfer portal, the annual free agency. Now we've legalized gambling in 35 of the 50 states. You're begging to have the integrity of the game tampered with. And I just don't understand how we went from where the NCAA used to regulate. They would give UK the death penalty for me coming in and handing some kid that didn't have any money $50. And now it's just annual free agency, no caps. You can play this year. You can go play somewhere else next year. There's no penalty. And then you add on the gambling component. You're asking for the game to get tampered with. It's a tragedy. It really is.
It really is a tragedy. You going to the game tomorrow?
Down in Tennessee? No, I'm not. I'm going to watch it from the comfort of my living room. But, I hope we can string it together. I have not given up on this team. You listen to a lot of the so-called professional pundits say, well, if we go 9-9 in the conference, we're going to be in. And maybe because of the name on the front of the jersey, we will be. But we've got to pick up some quality wins here down the stretch, and tomorrow to go a long way towards helping that.
I've been called many things in my day, but a pundit is not one of them. I said earlier on, if they go not, you might want to change your wording, Chipper up.
Well, you're not the only one. I've heard several say it, but it's going to be tight. I think we're gonna have to win 2 or 3 games in the tournament as well. And potentially, if it ends up unfolding as a 9-9 deal with the non-conference games and our performance there, we may end up in Dayton in a play-in game like North Carolina did a couple years ago. So we'll see.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. No, I never thought I was the only one saying it, that kind of thing. Chip Rupp, good to hear your voice. Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you, and hopefully you can carve out a little time next week.
I'd love to join you again. Most importantly, you need to take care of yourself and get to the bottom of your health stuff.
Yep.
The world's a better place with you in it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
See
Chip
you.
Rupp, always fun conversation. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we'll be live in Cincinnati at Reds Fest with Steve Tressler and Alan Stein. Their guest right out of the gate will be the COO, Phil Castellini. Don't forget about my friend Terry Page. I saw her yesterday, and she brought my blood pressure down by doing a different kind of massage with my back and all kinds of other stuff, because my blood pressure has been way up since I had this problem, and it's kind of scary. And so she helped that way and in other ways. She's a great healing licensed massage therapist in Kentucky, in Lexington, Thursday and Friday, in Butler, Kentucky on Monday and Tuesday. Please use my name. Please consider using her. She's a healer. She's spectacular. I keep on saying she should never have a free appointment. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. My friend Kenny Rice from Friend to Friend coming up next. Alan Cutler. It's 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler for my friends at Quantrell Cadillac. There's something unmistakable the moment you step into a Cadillac. The soft glow of the dashboard, the quiet power waiting beneath your foot. Every detail is designed to move you before you ever move. On the road, it's smooth, responsive, effortless. Advanced technology surrounds you. Performance responds instantly, and the world outside fades away. This isn't just driving, it's arrival. At Quantrell Cadillac, that experience is closer than you think, with exceptional offers including 2.9 APR for 60 months on select models. Luxury has never felt more attainable. Visit QuantrellCadillac.com. See dealer for complete terms.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pub and Shop.
What?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have 5-hour energy shots, Bloom energy drinks, and Blue Diamond almonds. Each buy 2, get 1 free.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pub and Shop. Return. Refresh.
From Alan Cutler. He said he loves Sean
Woods. I feel the same. I've always thought you're absolutely the best and always enjoyed being around you. And
listen to Alan Cutler, folks. It's a pleasure for me and honor to be on here with such a legend.
Everything you said was absolutely 100% correct.
Man, is this the great Alan Cutler? Is this the infamous Alan Cutler?
Of all the broadcast television people that I've encountered, you are among the absolute elite.
Cut to the chase has a 5-length lead past the 16th pole. Cut to the chase. Victor Espinoza to win it.
Continue doing what you're doing. You're really good at it.
Be nice, America. Let's have a great day.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys, that if you practice, will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
We have some warts, we have some things we're trying to figure out, but this group is a group they're gonna stay in there. There were 15 times in the second half where we could have folded, and there were more than that in the first, but they just kept hammering away. I think Ortega's leadership was great. I think DA's leadership was great. I thought we got a lot of great conservative efforts where our guys did a good job not paying attention to the scoreboard and just trying to continue to compete harder and harder.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Welcome back, Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Before we introduce my friend Kenny Rice, if you recall the other day, Nathan McPeak, who's done a great job at Frederick Douglass, said he couldn't wait to meet Will Stein. And the reason why we had him on, because one of his former players who spent a couple years at Purdue, the big tackle Jamarian Harkless, is coming to Kentucky. Well, McPeak just put up a picture that he's with Sloan. His arm is around him. So that means Stein is not only here, but he's doing the smart thing, going to visit coaches and getting to know people and stuff like that. And Stein watched the practice and stuff like that in Douglas, which is very, very powerful. It's amazing what they've accomplished in their short lifespan. $15 million of scholarship since he's been there as the head coach. That's unbelievable. The factory that they have at Frederick Douglass helping these kids play football and get an education is beautiful. It's off the charts. I just wanted to say that because it was breaking news. And now it's always breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. When the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, former Studley sports anchor for WTVQ back in the days when TV was black and white, and now 25 years plus with NBC Sports, with the Derby and all kinds of other things and all kinds of different ways where he broadcasts across the world, is actually in Lexington and granting us for a couple of minutes. My dear friend, Kenny Rice. Hello, Kenny. How are you?
Alan, how are you, buddy?
I'm okay. I think I'm okay.
I got to say something right quick because I was remiss the last time we were on. And it's bothered me because I broke a family tradition. Hello, Judy. I didn't say that last time, and I felt terrible. I haven't slept in 3 weeks. So now we can proceed, please.
It's really good. Actually, she might be in the car, so there's a 50-50 shot she's listening. And if not, I will tell her later. Is there anybody else you'd like to say hi to?
No, just Judy.
Okay. Not me, not Jimmy, just Judy. Okay. And I get
okay, hi, Jimmy. Hello, Alan. I thought I said hi to you, Alan. Okay, hi, Jimmy.
It's all right. When people say goodbye, they usually say
Jimmy obviously will not acknowledge me anymore, but that's okay.
Oh, I waved. I didn't know if you saw the wave.
Oh, I see it now. There you go. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, Kenny.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.
Split screens with the zooms. Okay, so let's get back to that soundbite that I picked now that we're 2 minutes later. As Pope said, as they're trying to grow and change and all kinds of stuff, and it was a wonderful comeback victory after a horsepuck start, that we have warts. So, Kenny Rice, sports expert who's never shy in his own way with no filter opinions. What is your opinion, Kenny Rice, of the biggest warts this basketball team has?
He needs to get some of that, what is that, the compound W, wart remover. He needs to get some of that. He needs to get a big jar of it, Here's the only thing. Listen, let's not take any away from the comeback. It was quite impressive to come back from 18 down. I was very happy for Malachi Moreno. I thought Colin threw a beautiful pass to him. I mean, Will Stein may try to draw up that play later in the season, next season, because that was perfect. But at what stage with the money and stuff advanced, it's a lot different, Alan, than the old days. The money they're paying everybody, the expectations, it's about the now. It's not about what is coming down the road. We heard that for years. We were young. We're young. Kentucky's young. Everybody's young, but we're getting better. This is not supposed to be a team that's getting better. This is supposed to be a team that's there and improving, of course. But this, I wonder if we're going to get better. We're working on it. It should already be there this late in the season because they put this team together with money. This is the team they purposely put together and recruited. And I know some injuries were along the way, but I got to be honest, I'm not sure having two guys out the other day hurt them that much in the comeback anyway. To be honest, I mean, it wasn't a great passing team. I thought they did better passing down the stretch than they have in a while.
They can pass with or without Lowe.
Yeah, I think they do better without him. I mean, he's a scoring point guard. He's Tiny Archibald, which is okay. But I think he looks shoot first and pass later from what I've seen.
Without Tiny's moves. Of course, Tiny was one of the greatest.
Tiny. Look it up. Google him, kids. After you Google Kurt Signetti, Google Tiny Archibald, Nate Archibald. Okay.
I think most people know had Pete Maravich played with a three-point shot, he would average over 50 a game.
Yeah.
If Tiny had the three-point shot, he would have averaged at times over 40 a game in the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing, those days. And, people say, well, it's a lot different game. Than I think it was a lot better back then because of fundamentals. But that can be said for a lot of sports. You go across the board. Fundamentals are disappearing in many facets of many sports.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's disappeared that I've harped on for years now that you brought it up, and I went crazy when Oscar was here. Why no one shoots the hook shot? The most
That's right.
toughest shot to defend. I remember talking to Cliff Hagan. He said, I said to him one time, hey, Cliff, did you ever get your hook shot swatted away? And he gave me a dirty look. That was, Cliff really well. I was like, how did you ask me that question? Because first of all, he could hit 15-foot hook shots like it was nothing with either hand, but you protect your shoulders. And I said this many times, if I would have had Cliff come to UK and work, he would have done it in a heartbeat and worked with Oscar for about 2 weeks, and he'd be shooting 500 hooks lefty and righty. And you know what? And Oscar had a hook shot, instead of this being in the G League and then a little bit on the team, he would be in the NBA now because he would score more. And I don't understand some of the fundamentals. You just got me on a rant, Kenny. Some of the fundamentals that have been dissipated. And this is so stupid.
That's right. Well, remember, Dad was on when he used to talk about that with you all the time because he saw Hagan play he saw him play at Owensboro at UK, and then he saw him play with the Hawks. And I think I told you the first time I ever met Cliff at Memorial Coliseum. I just started working. It was 1980, and I'm in Memorial Coliseum when you could go to practice back then. It was open. I'm waiting, but they're finishing up a pickup game. And I see him, so I go up and introduce myself to him. And I tell him, my dad had seen you through all the phases of your career, and he said you had one of the greatest hook shots he'd ever seen. And Cliff, being Cliff, put his hand on my shoulder. He said, Kenny, I'm sure your dad said I had the greatest hook shot he'd ever seen. I'll never forget that. I love Cliff. I swear, he is a special player and at Kentucky, and I hope people always remember just that. Every now and then glance back at the history books of some of these guys. But I'd like to see him work a little bit with Malachi right now. Although, as we saw the other day, face up, he's a good shooter from about 16, 17 feet out. He's a good front shooter like that. And give him another dimension down the road. Let him get a hook shot going. There's an NBA guy for sure.
Absolutely. Two things on Malachi. One, I said this last year, he'll be a real good 3-point shooter because he's got really good hands. That's one. Yeah. And he's got calmness and intensity. That's just, he's very, very self-assured of himself for a young man. But I couldn't agree with you more. If Malachi had a hook shot, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And, it's like some of these guys, when the three-pointer's not shooting, going in for Kentucky, you're allowed, I understand you're still allowed, Alan, to take a couple of dribbles and maybe move in to 14, 15 feet and try a jump shot. And that's almost a lost art these days. Watch these games and how many times you see If it's not, if a 3-pointer's not going, not just Kentucky, but other teams, rarely do you see guys take a head fake, drive in, pull up, and shoot. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. There's exceptions, but the majority of the players I watch, the other games I watch, they shoot a 3, they miss a 3, or they hit a 3, and that's it. There's no in between, and they don't follow up their shots very well across the board.
Nate Oates doesn't want his players to shoot that shot, but you just brought a second thing up.
That's why I'm here.
Talk about enough. The old follow your shot if you missed it, because you know where the hell the ball's going. How often does someone follow the shot? In the old days, you could follow the shot, you got the ball, and very often there'd be a putback from there because you knew where the hell the ball's going, and you could kind of slip in there. Not all the time, but often you would get points that way. You know what? Why the hell don't they teach that? And that's a simplistic thing. Now, at times, let me go one more, Kenny, then come back. At times, and I get it, if it's your point guard and you're worried about the other team running back, you want to have somebody back, but that's not all the time. Very often it's a shot on the wing or the side, and you can have somebody else go back and that kind of thing. That would be the only way I would defend that bad move. But Kenny, you're a bullseye. Absolutely right. Can you follow your own shot because you know where it's going and you have a better idea where it's going than the guy underneath the basket?
Yeah. Well, it's and I understand a lot of it comes. Look, Sports Center ruined the fundamentals of basketball. I mean, it's totally blew it out of the water because what do they show? You have a slam dunk or you have a 3-point play. That's basically it. Maybe if it's a crazy pass, they may show it, but a good solid assist, they hardly ever show it. They won't show a guy that made the key fake to score a basket unless, and even if it's a game winner, they probably won't show it because they'd rather see somebody fling it in from half court, which is kind of fun to watch. I give you that. But how many slam dunks can you see? How many 3-pointers can you see? And in between that arc and the goal, there's a lot of space, and you don't see it in highlights. And I think that influences kids. Why wouldn't it? They're watching Sports Center. What do they want to do? They want to shoot the 3. Or if they can't dunk it, they want to shoot the 3. Or they want to dunk it all the time. I thought that I was so happy to see Marino get that shot because I know him personally and I like him a lot, and he's got a great family. But also the fact it was nice to see, as we said earlier, Alan, a guy that can actually look at the basket and be 16, 17 away and shoot it with confidence. That's a rare thing these days. And it's not to be downplayed. And I don't know why coaches don't work at it more. If they're afraid they're going to offend players and the word will get out that he won't let me shoot my 3s, I don't understand.
Well, you just brought up another one of my pet peeves. Really good rant, Kenny. Good stuff.
Thank you. I'm here, Alan.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses.
Wait. Try the soup. It's good today.
Actually, I probably could use chicken soup. There's no question about it. I just forgot what my pet peeve was, so we'll move on. Having one of those days.
No good. Well, no good pastrami sandwiches around this area, are there? I don't know. Are there? See, I'm looking for that.
Actually, I had pastrami shipped in about 6 months ago from a great New York deli, and there's 2 of them.
Zabar's?
No.
That's a good one. There's another one too. I'm gonna think of it in a minute.
Yeah, me too. Actually, there were about 3 of them, and one of them is now got Katz's Delicatessen.
Oh, Katz. Oh, legendary. Yes.
Oh, I had it shipped in, and it's 2 huge chunks of meat. I mean, huge chunks of meat that should be sandwiches for a week.
Yeah.
Do you think it lasted 24 hours?
It wouldn't at my place, but
it didn't. 2 meals.
Yeah.
And yeah. And it took a week before I could take the other one out because I got some extra reading in. We'll just leave it at that. But it was worth it. Well, I have to keep up with my reading. It's a very important part of my life.
You're on every day. You're working hard. I mean, most people at your advanced age have retired, but not you. You keep going. I mean, look at you. You won't stop. I respect that.
I'm having fun. Hey,
I work about 4 times a year,
You work. You're out of town. You're doing TV. And you're working 100 days a year, aren't you?
Yeah, close to it.
Okay.
But down from about
350,
340.
Okay.
I had a stretch there where I didn't take a vacation for 7 years. I'm not complaining, because every time I was on, they'd see me out there at Bluegrass Airport, and I was getting on my Delta flight, and they'd say, vacation. I go, no. And they go, really? Do you get tired? I said, no. Every time you see me on a plane, I'm making money. I'm going to a job.
Right.
So if I'm on a plane, I'm making money.
And you're
and I'm good with that. but thank God now I can take a couple of vacations every now and then.
I am cautiously excited about Stein. And I'll say cautiously because, as you know, because you've lived this forever, the hype machine is on. I look at this list of players I do every day, and honestly, I know so little about them, but you do reading and you do the same thing I do. If you find out a kid started on the offensive line for Ohio State for 2 years and that kind of thing going, oh, and he's a big man. And they might have, or they will have, excuse me, the best offensive line since the Big Blue Wall. There's no question about it. I'm not ready to say it's going to be better because I have no idea. But the fact that it'll be at least as good as the Big Blue Wall, it should be on paper, shows that Stein and his staff have done a wonderful job on paper. What's fascinating to me is they're short wide receivers. You would have thought that would have been the easiest position for Stein to procure. Now, maybe the quarterback was the easiest, although they didn't get their first choice, but that's fine. I was probably Judy's 8th choice, but that's neither here nor there. But
Judy said you're number one in her heart. She tells that stuff. Now to you, she says 8 or 9, but she told me and my dad that time. Many times you were number one.
Oh, I wish you would tell me just once in 43 years.
Well, if she's listening, Judy, help the boy. Give him a break. He's working hard. He won't quit. Look at him. He's still going and burning it up, by the way. I mean, you're getting all these sponsors and stuff now. Your show's a great success. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's growing. It's growing thanks to people listening and people telling other people word of mouth.
I take a lot of credit, but that's because I just take credit for everything. You know that.
Actually, I think your late dad, who we loved,
yeah,
was one of the great ambassadors for me.
We would be out. This is serious. He would walk at Myers over our Fennels Road. He liked to walk indoors there, especially weather like this. And I tell you, at least 4 times, maybe 5, a guy would come up to me and say, "Aren't you?" And I'd say, "Yeah." You kind of go, "Yeah, I'm him." And he'd go, "Is that your dad?" I say, "That's my dad." I said, "Hey, I listened to him on Alan's show. I'd like to meet him." And I told you that story. They'd go up and they'd meet Daddy, and I enjoyed that more than anybody's ever said anything nice about me, which is rare. But occasionally somebody has.
Well,
that was special.
Well, special one I appreciated, but seriously, your dad would smile that he was recognized, and that was a beautiful thing. And that smile, your dad, out to your face.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he'd been 97 2 days ago. Yeah, how about that?
You've had a tough week.
Yeah, you try to, but I enjoy this. It's good to talk to friends and get out. But yeah, those first few times. But hey, look. I'm not like, look at me. A lot of people have to go through it, and it's never easy, especially when you have a great relationship. I've lost relatives that, to be quite honest, I didn't know all that well. Well, actually, most of my blood is dead. Most of the bloodline's dead on both sides of my family. So, people like you and a couple other friends, Joe and Lenny listening out there. Bob Hensley and I talk once a week. He lives down in Texas. And that helps. And a few people from church, send me notes. One sent me a nice note that realized it's Dad's birthday. I don't know how they knew it, but they did. And then my buddy Boss Rutan calls me every year on Dad's birthday and my mom's birthday.
Wow.
Great MMA fighter. And, he's making movies, and he's he's a close friend. We worked that show together. We worked together for 14 years. And we've always stayed in touch. So, that's nice.
It's really cool. Say hi to Hensley for me, by the way. He's a great guy. And he was a hell of a reporter. I mean, he was a hell of a reporter.
People don't realize how good he was. I said Lexington could use him. Every now and then I see something going on like a board education. I won't get into all this other stuff. I go, are you kidding? Hensley would have him crying down there if he was here. He'd been there and said, yeah, I got a question. Not that, sorry, that happened. You didn't mean to steal that money, did you? You didn't mean to lose that money, did you? But enough of the old fun days.
Yeah,
friends is very special. That's the most important thing.
Let me throw 2 things at you. One, Lexington media needs Bob Hensley because he keeps people straight, and that's the job of real journalism when it comes to something like that. I think it's really, really important. Kenny, you're going to have to get to work very fast.
Yeah.
You just scared me with something you said, that your blood is gone. Do you know, and I bet you do in history, I was a Lincoln buff. I've read all kinds of books and stuff like that. Do you know none of his descendants are here now?
I guess that wouldn't be surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, his son passed away in 19 something, and none of his kids had kids.
Huh.
So the lineage, the tree is gone. And I think it's really important for you to marry someone who is still young enough to have children. And I think you need to do your best to keep the Rice name going. Folks, I wish you were watching Zoom right now. I don't know if I've ever seen you blush. You are blushing.
Well, I'll start working on it. Well, what are you going to put up? Like, call 1-800?
I'll run a free spot and tell Lynn Martin I'm doing it. And he said, yeah, we got to help Kenny out.
Oh, geez. My trouble, I helped myself out too many times in my life, as you know.
Even Jimmy's smiling at this one. Jimmy, don't you think it would be a good idea? I think it's important, as much as I loved his dad, and Kenny saying, unfortunately, the way families go, that, basic as blood, you need to.
My uncle's still alive, and my uncle and aunt, and I've got a couple of cousins I keep, somewhat in touch with. I've got 14 cousins, first cousins strewn about America, from Portland to Seattle to Columbus.
Not the same.
We don't talk. Which is okay.
And I have that too. I think everybody has to, but you really need to keep your bloodlines going. And I think the pressure is on. How old are you, Kenny?
42.
Okay.
Let's stick with that, okay?
Liar. If you were to talk to the basketball team right now, would give them a pep talk. I asked this to Reggie Hansen last week, and Reggie had a really good answer. But if Mark would bring you in, hey, Kenny, you're worldly, and he brings in people, but I think he should bring in some other people as well that coaches don't do. Somebody, seriously now, I'm not kidding around, somebody like you who's dealt with all these people on a national level and that kind of stuff. He would never ask me, but I would do something talking about, guys, you are so lucky. It's unbelievable. I mean, every practice, you should be diving on the floor. Everybody in the world basically would switch positions with you. Do you know how lucky and blessed you are? You don't want to be 40 years old and not give everything you had because you're wearing Kentucky across your chest. I would just do that off the cuff and just kind of go. You're lucky and blessed. You have a problem? What problem do you have? We all have problems. You're playing basketball. At Kentucky. There's no reason for you not to be sprinting all the time. So that's the kind of thing I would do. What would you do if you're talking in front of the basketball team?
I would echo a lot of things you just said. I would tell them, hey, I'm sure you might know a classmate, or find one that you like to meet for a moment. And I'll bet they're working like 2 jobs, or they're tending bar, or they're working at a restaurant, or some job that they have to make ends meet to get through college, And look at the opportunity you have. You are famous to an extent because you play basketball at Kentucky. That's the only reason. If you didn't play basketball at Kentucky, few people in Kentucky would know you, which is okay. If I wasn't on TV, few people in Kentucky would know me, for the ones that might still remember. And what's very important here is, just like you said, you got to embrace this every day. You got to think about it, because I know you'll be that guy, and I was that guy too. Yeah, 21, 22. Hey, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Time I'm 35 or 40, I'll be retired. I'll be settled. I'll have all kinds. I'll be rich. And then you say, oh, boy, I'm 40 years old. I'm 50 years old. How did that happen like that? And now I know that you'll push this aside and won't matter to you. But just remember all the people that would like to have your opportunity. Now, also, the opportunity comes to you guys that wasn't there before. You make money now. You know how long it was before I made X number of dollars that some of you all are making? And good for you. But the point is now, embrace that again. Be thankful for that. And go out and play hard, because you're not only representing Kentucky. You can say, oh, well, we represent Kentucky. Okay, that's fine, because you do. But don't you have some pride? Do you want to be the guy that's making $500,000, $1 million, and you're just going through the motions at times? And don't be jealous of your teammate if he's making more, because that's called the real world. I work with people. Most of the people I work with make more money than me. But I can't complain. I'm doing okay, and I do my job. I can't stand out there holding my microphone and say, hey, he's just threw it to me. He's making a lot more money than me. I wish, why isn't he as clever as me? Why couldn't he give insight like I do? You can't be that guy, because if you are, it's just going to hurt you. It's going to hurt you to worry about what somebody else is doing. You got to worry about what you're doing. And if you don't worry about what you're doing, nothing else really matters, because you got to have your own pride. Nobody in the long run is going to take care of you but yourself. one day your mommy and daddy ain't going to be around to take care of you. You got to take care of yourself. And that's a lot of things, choosing who you want to hang out with, not just ball players, but your friends. Be very careful who you choose. Don't get too excited when they tell you you're great. Don't get too sad when a fan boos you. Try to keep it somewhere in the middle. That's where most of us try to live, in the middle anyway. Some people think you're horse crap. Some people think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. But don't get too caught up in either. Trust in yourself, but you got to also scrutinize yourself. You can't say, well, I'm doing pretty good. I had a big game the other day. You got to have a big game every day. That may not be scoring points. Maybe it's getting rebounds. Maybe it's playing better defense. And if you do that, then the team will win. Because honestly, boys, you all are expected to. You got a $20 million, $22 million salary I'm talking to here. And unless I had 2 or 3 of my colleagues in here, like Tarico or Costas or somebody like that. I ain't around guys I ain't around a group that has $22 million, so be very thankful for that. And again, just think about it. Think about how your parents work. Maybe your brother, your sister, somebody else is having to work. They can't go out and buy a new car. They didn't get a new car. They didn't get a deal with a Ford F-150 because you have a special talent, but don't take it for granted.
It's really good, Kenny.
Thank you, Alan.
It was really good.
Thank you.
Last one, we're getting off Kentucky.
I want to give another speech, Alan. 4 score and 7 years ago.
Let me look it up. I think that might be plagiarism. I think somebody once said that.
Joe Biden used that when he ran in '88. And you remember, were you here in '88, weren't you?
Yeah.
Remember when Al Gore came to Memorial Coliseum and shot basketball?
Yes.
Because people were asking me a couple of weeks ago, somebody said, hey, who are the people you met that you, I said, well, he won't remember. I said, it was a very brief, I stuck a mic under his nose. But I remember they called me and said, are you familiar with Al Gore from the state of Tennessee? I said, yeah, I know who he is. He said, he's over here at Memorial Coliseum shooting hoops with Rex Chapman. And that time he was trying to get his candidacy for president going at that time. So, little things like that. I'm sure you remember it. I was calling a United Football League game in Omaha, Nebraska, around 2010, I believe. So I'm having breakfast that morning. I look across, there's these 2 guys at the other table, look like 2 linemen, and I'm looking like, what do these guys play? Because, they were brutes. They said, hey, he goes, hey, how you doing? I go, they said, hey, you do that MMA show? I said, yeah. He said, what are you doing here? I said, well, I also call football. I do play-by-play. I'm calling this game tonight. Omaha was playing in the United Football League. And they go, oh, yeah, that's why we're here. I said, well, you play? They said, no, we're Flo Rida's bodyguards. So Flo Rida performed at halftime. So the next morning, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm down there checking out and going to fly home. And I look, and there they are. And they said, hey, Flo's coming down. Would you like to meet him? I said, sure. So he gets off the elevator with a beautiful woman. And first off, this guy was built like a tight end. Flo Rida is a big man. And he talked to me. We talked about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we wished each other well and went on our way. Okay, that's all I got. See, there's my encounters. I like these are the memories I have, as opposed to interviewing all these players. And you interview some of them, you remember them. But little encounters like that along the way, little quirky things, I kind of remember a lot, as I get older.
Hey, I got to interview people like Bill Bradley, who came to Rupp Arena, who was my. I was like, when I told my brother, he got all excited. Let me throw one. I'm late, but I want your opinion on something. This is my pet peeve. I think Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest human beings, literally, in the history of the National Football League as a coach. My respect for him is off the chart. What he does for people and the stuff he's done and how he cares. When he announced that he was leaving, there were men crying in the locker room, and the fans. I lived in Pittsburgh. I can say this is ridiculous. You haven't won another Super Bowl. Their talent stinks. They haven't had a real, Rodgers is old and they didn't give him an offensive line. His wide receivers are mediocre. His running backs are mediocre. If you put Pat Mahomes and give him to Tomlin, he wouldn't have been fired. So you have to look at it and say, the general manager stinks in Pittsburgh. General manager for years, they did a really good job, but he stinks. And now you make it so Tomlin wants to leave. I can't stand when oftentimes you get rid of a manager or a coach when the talent isn't there and they're doing wonderful things for the organization and the city. It drives me nuts. And you would think the Steelers would be smarter. And I think he just got tired. He got booed. He got booed. Everything he got he got booed. I think it sucks. And the reality is there is no reality on how some of the great people are dealt with. One comment, what say you? And I got to run.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope a guy like Tomlin, who you knew him. I just knew him from afar.
No. Not only did I not know him, he came to the Rupp Arena. Turned me down for an interview. As I walked across the court, nobody would go out to him, and he gave me the best rejection I've ever had. I respectfully decline the opportunity to do the interview. It was the best rejection I've ever had, and I smiled. Why would I not like the guy? Because he's a great human being. So I don't know him, never had him on my show, and I was gone from Pittsburgh way before then.
Well, like you say, he seemed like a class act. Everything you ever saw or read about him seemed like a class act. And the way he took care of his players and stood up for his players. So I agree. You hate to see those kind of guys depart that way. And I think he'll surface again, even though the Steelers, I understand, still kind of has the rights to him. So they'll work out some kind of deal maybe with somebody that picks him up. I got to believe somebody's going to pick up Mike Tomlin, just like they did Harbaugh. What a move for the Giants. Probably one of the smartest moves the Giants have made in a long time.
In at least 40 years.
And, and they had to make that, much like the Mets signing today. You got to make those moves sometimes or it's going to fall away from you and you won't get it back.
Amen. Kenny. God bless you, brother. It's great to see you. Hey, we got to get together. Look at the calendar next weekend, and we'll talk off the air.
Sounds excellent, my friend. Always a pleasure, Alan.
Bless you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's Kenny Rice, who's great. Absolutely great. He just is a very special man. And his common sense and love of life and how he looks at things perspective-wise, it is absolutely, unequivocally off the chart. John Adams coming up next. I don't know if he's in a hopper, but this is an old friend I haven't talked to in forever. And he's really good, and he's been covering Tennessee forever. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist, Ramon Carriega. Please use my name. He's brilliant, and how he's helped me is off the charts. I'll just tell you, acupuncture is not cheap, but having your health, it's worth everything. Everything. And he's done some wonderful things to keep me going and has warned me about certain things to do and not do based upon stuff that he can see. That doctors see one thing, he can see something else. And sometimes they see the same thing. That might sound a little goofy, but it's true. His ability to see things, it's off the charts. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. Check him out. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Patrick DiGiacomo, and this is why I would recommend Republic Bank. So, when the bank manager brought me over just to show me how their ATM works, he hit this button where an actual live person came on the screen, and she was so kind and helpful, and it just made me feel like, wow, I'm not dealing with just a machine, I'm dealing with somebody that's actually paying attention to what I'm doing, and it made me feel really good.
And that's how Republic Bank helps their customers go from living to thriving. Learn more at republicbank.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler from the details.
Ooh, baby, it's cold outside.
Uncle Rick, warm yourself up with a hot coffee or cappuccino at Clark's Pup and Shop.
Kappa what?
Cappuccino. And while you're there, be sure to pick up some of our in-store specials. We have 5-hour energy shots, Bloom energy drinks, and Blue Diamond almonds. Each buy 2, get 1 free.
I feel warmer already. Clark's Pup and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. I've said this many times. One of the joys of me doing the show is rekindling relationships with people that I used to know, but you go separate ways, and that I liked and respected. And add this name to the list. Back in the 1980s, we would talk when Kentucky and Tennessee would play. He is in the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame back in 2013. I don't know if I've talked to John in the last 25 years. It's been a long time. John Adams, who's a great writer covering Tennessee. John, how the heck are you, dude?
I'm doing well, Alan. Good to hear from you. I don't think it's been 25 years, though. Maybe 10.
Okay. It has been many times the last 25 years. My memory goes with, putting years together and stuff like that. In the old days, we used to see each other at least 3 times a year, sometimes 4.
Sure.
With football and basketball and the SEC tournament and those kinds of things. So tell me how you see this game tomorrow. And, Barnes has one of the great records against Kentucky. He's 12-12, and that's a rarity in itself. And the man's he's a great coach. There's no question. He's a great coach, and he should be in every Hall of Fame when he retires. And the crowd at Tennessee, I'm not going, but the crowd at Tennessee is loud and crazy when Kentucky comes down, and it's always just a beautiful atmosphere. So how do you see the game? There's a couple of great young players that Tennessee has, and that Tennessee has, and Kentucky's trying to find their way.
Yeah, I was watching Tennessee the other day, that game against LSU. I've been watching Kentucky basketball a long time. I was growing up in Louisiana. LSU didn't have much of a basketball program back in the day when I was a kid. It got national attention when it brought Press Maravich and, oh, by the way, his son Pete into LSU basketball. And I was in college with Pete, and those were unforgettable years. But sorry for the tangent. But I was just thinking, watching that game, because I am familiar with Kentucky basketball. I remember pulling for Kentucky basketball as a kid because pulling for LSU was futile. So I go back to the days when I even remember Cotton Nash playing for Kentucky. He was a Lake Charles, Louisiana, 6'5", a guard forward. And, of course, I followed Louis Dampier, Pat Riley, and all those guys. So, anyway, I was thinking about that while I was watching the LSU game the other night. In the first 10 or 12 minutes, I thought that was the worst basketball I'd ever seen by a Kentucky team, the very worst. And there probably have been worse moments, but just watching it, because LSU's nothing special, it was just an awful showing. And so it's hard for me to think Saturday's game will be that close. I'm just so, I'm astounded that Kentucky is no better than it is in basketball right now. And I understand the injuries, but anyway, this is what it's left with. So I've got a kind of low opinion of Kentucky basketball, even though it did win that game on a remarkable shot against LSU.
Interesting perspective, and I think they've underachieved. And the thing that I was chomping on them bad early in the season, their lack of effort was just awful. You have injuries, you deal with it. I'm not going to rip a team if they have injuries and the next players aren't as good. I've never done it, not going to do it. But when you see guys that don't hustle, when you see guys at times that are standing around, drives me out of my mind. And so How much do you blame the coach and how much you blame the players? Because the players have some responsibility too, and the coach certainly has responsibility.
Well, sure. Everybody has responsibility. I go back to last year. I like Kentucky's hire of Mark Pope. I like what he did last season. It's not making a Final Four, winning a national title, which all Kentucky fans want, understandably. But yeah, when I was watching that team the other night, it looked like what struck me is the talent didn't really come through. You talk about lack of effort. I've seen other Kentucky teams under John Calipari that I questioned their how well the team fit together. It seemed like a lot of individuals, sometimes almost like an AAU team playing. But one thing I noticed, there always seemed to be some guys that could create shots and have those shots go in. I didn't really see that the other night until Owe got hot there at the end, and he's a terrific player. I like watching him. And then he carried them through. But I'm just used to seeing more guys that can score. I've seen so many guys at Kentucky under Calipari. I saw so many guys that could see the potential, but it didn't come to fruition. And then they become okay players at Kentucky, and then they become NBA greats, NBA All-Stars. So I didn't see somebody in that game I was watching. I didn't see somebody I thought, well, that's another NBA All-Star for Kentucky.
Yeah, I agree. The talent is not the way it was when Cal was bringing the John Walls of the world. It's just changed. And Pope, outside of the two kids from Kentucky, has not brought in a great freshman talent. And the question remains is, can he recruit top 15 talent that doesn't have Kentucky ties? And it's a legitimate question. And speaking of talent, you got Nate Ament, who's a great freshman, 3 times freshman of the week. He's 6'10", averaging 15 points and 6 rebounds a game. And I like this 2.5 assists. He's a lotto pick waiting to happen. And you also got Jacoby Gillespie, who is he's only averaging 18 points and 3 rebounds a game. I mean, he's had at least 20 points 7 times this year and even had 32 in a game. Wasn't that against Texas, I think? Whatever it was. I mean, so on paper, you believe that Tennessee definitely has more talent, yes?
Yeah, and I haven't looked at a line on this game, but I would say Tennessee's 10 points better playing at home. I mean, it's hard to win anywhere on the road in this league. And I know Kentucky does have talent, but it's not fitting together right now, and it doesn't look comparable to the talent it had under Calipari. As far as Mark Pope's recruiting, I think recruiting now is all about how much money can you pay, and I would think Kentucky could play a lot. So I don't know what the problem is right now. And maybe if you hadn't had a couple of serious injuries, certainly Jalen Lowe, if he hadn't, but Kentucky wasn't playing great with him. But back to your point, I'm rambling way too much here, Alan. I just think we're talking and we're not on a podcast about Tennessee. Gillespie was a great get. Barnes and his staff have done a really good job of identifying players that fit their system, that are talented, and then filling out the deal, making it happen. They did that with Dalton Connect. They did that with Chaz Lanier, and they've done it with Jacoby Gillespie. I really like him. He's a better guard than Zakai Ziegler, who contributed so much to Tennessee basketball. But this guy can make 25 footers, and he can play the point. He's really kind of a combo guard. Nate Ament, completely different story. Nate Ament has all this potential. I'm sure he will be a very high pick, but he hadn't been playing aggressively enough offensively. He's just kind of, in one loss, it was just really obvious, just wasn't involved enough offensively. But that's changing. He got a little more involved in a 24-point loss to Florida against that powerful front line of the Gators. And then the other night against Texas A&M, at times he kind of took over. And he's got a really nice skill set. He just needs to remember that and not worry so much about making mistakes or fitting in. He just kind of needs sometimes to just take over, because Tennessee needs more perimeter scoring. He can shoot threes, but it hasn't been good enough consistently on the perimeter. So it needs Nate Ament to take a strong role and then combine him with Gillespie. And it's got a strong inside game. So there are a lot of things to like about this Tennessee team, but its perimeter scoring can get it beat at times, I think. And that's been the case in the past, too, with some of Barnes's teams.
Two quick things. Jacoby Gillespie, who you were talking about, who I'm looking forward to seeing. Evie Akawa, who I respected a lot. I respect him a ton. He's done the show. Has him as the number 11 player in the nation, second best in the SEC. That's what he deemed before the season. Give me something in that. We've got about 90 seconds left. What makes Rick Barnes so smart and so lovable? I mean, if he coaches another couple of years, he's going to hit 900 wins. I don't know if he's going to coach that long, but he's been a great man. He's a great person and a great coach. Beloved at Tennessee. What makes him so special as you see it?
Well, part of it is a really strong Christian faith. He's been very outspoken about that, and that's a big part of it. He was winning games earlier in his career, but I think that has to do winning just as much. But I think that has to do with how he's perceived here locally. I think he helps people a lot of times that we don't hear about. And I know a friend of mine that he really helped with strengthen his Christian faith through listening to Rick Barnes. And the man died a few years later, and we had that conversation right before he died. So I think he's really had an impact in the community and on Tennessee basketball. But he knows how to coach the games. Coach the game, and he knows how to fix things. Players usually get better under him. So all those factors have contributed to his good run. He just needs to do it in March and go a little further in March.
It is amazing to me that Tennessee has never been to a Final Four with all the great players.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
It doesn't make any,
yeah.
It's goofy.
Well, you look at all the SEC teams that have. I mean, I really think other than Kentucky, that Tennessee has as good a basketball tradition as anybody in the SEC, and much better in most places. It's got the arena. It's got the fan passion, fan support. People in Knoxville are huge basketball fans. But it's never made the Final Four. That it is hard to explain that.
It really is. By the way, what do Tennessee people, I got about 30 seconds, think about Will Stein becoming the head coach at the University of Kentucky?
I don't think they even think about it because they've dominated Kentucky so much in football. They don't even think about that. But they might ought to start thinking about it, because I've been watching what Kentucky's doing in the transfer portal. First of all, I'll notice that Kentucky, I didn't think Kentucky would spend $38 million to get rid of Mark Stoops as a coach. And it not only does that, but it hires Will Stein, who has great potential as a head coach. He's Oregon's offensive coordinator, done very well at that. I don't think he would have gone to Kentucky unless he knew he would have the financial support. And when I look what Kentucky's doing in the portal, that tells me it does, and he does have that financial support. So Kentucky football, maybe it's the next Indiana.
Wow.
I thought you'd like that.
Wow. On paper.
Well, Indiana basketball school turned football school.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who said they predicted this happening in Indiana is just a flat out liar. just
no kidding.
Just please go away. Whatever. I liked Signetti before he got there. I've told the story. I interviewed his dad one time when he was at that small school in Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh when I was in Pittsburgh. He had a fullback that came back.
Yeah.
from the service, who was a really good fullback. They thought he was a pro prospect. I think he signed a free agent contract, didn't make it, but nice kid. And it was a really nice story. So I know his dad. I spent 20 minutes with his dad, but you could tell that he was really hard-nosed and disciplined and stuff like that. And that's where he got it from. And he should have had his opportunity a long time ago. And oh boy, is he making the best of it. John, it's good hearing your voice. I feel bad I haven't called you before to come do the show. Doing the radio is great. It's just nice hearing your voice. It reminded me of some conversations back in the 80s.
Well, it was good talking to you, and have me on again, and I won't ramble so much.
No, you did great, John. God bless you. Hey, us old geezers still doing it. It's a beautiful thing.
Good talking to you, Alan. Take care, man.
Yeah. Jimmy, no kidding. It really brings me back to the 80s. Anytime Kentucky and Tennessee play, we always talk for a long time. And he's a columnist with no nonsense. Maybe the next time I'll ask him about Pat Summitt. He covered her forever. And he's got some great stories on Pat Summitt. And I thought about it, but I figured today we will do this. Maybe when Kentucky and Tennessee playing basketball, I'll ask him to come back. He's a really, really good dude. Okay, enjoy your weekend. Keep your fingers crossed for me and my health, if you don't mind. I'm excited to watch Kentucky and Tennessee tomorrow, and they better come out sharing the ball and running hard because I'm going to guess there are guys on this Kentucky team that have never played in this kind of atmosphere. I'm serious. Never. It's a wild and crazy atmosphere. It's a great crowd. And if you're Kentucky and you win down there, it is an amazing feeling. The aura, the aroma in that arena. I mean, it's pretty special. Thank you to Kenny Rice. Thank you to Chip Rupp. Thank you again to John Adams. Thank you to Jimmy. Have yourself a great weekend. Brad Taylor coming up next. Matthew and Jimmy at 10 on Monday. I'll be back at 12. And don't forget Red Fest, 3 p.m. tomorrow in Cincinnati, as the Reds have their great big dog and pony show, which has always been great for fans. Steve Tressel and Alan Stein, their first guest out of the gate will be Phil Castellini.
Today at 3 o'clock.
Today at 3.
Today at 3.
I'm sorry. I thought it was tomorrow. That's, I'm sure, my bad. Today at 3 o'clock. Thank you. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 90.